According to Ralph Waldo Emerson, what you do speaks so loudly that I cannot hear what you say. What does it mean? Our action speaks louder than our words. Our body language speaks more than words, which means it has a bigger percentage of our message. Let me give you an example. Try saying you're crazy to someone with an annoyed facial expression. Look at the person's reaction. And try saying the same message to someone with a smiling face. Would you think that they will take it differently or similarly? What's your guess? You're crazy. You're crazy with an annoying face, and then you're crazy in a smiling face. Do you think they're going to take it differently or similarly? Yes or no? Yes or no? Differently. Okay. Yeah, because sometimes you have to unmute your microphone. I am just trying to get your attention if I'm asking you. They would take it differently. The problem with that is if someone would tell you that I love you, I miss you so much, but the action says otherwise, then it's hard to believe the words that they are saying. I assume that you are going to believe more of the action, what they are showing, than their words. Because it's easier to lie. Sometimes we can even say, the food is delicious, even if it's not. Now, that is how our actions can change the meaning of our message. People will understand your message according to your actions more than your words. People will use your gestures, your actions as the barometer of how you feel. And people would not take you seriously. Even if you're quite annoyed already, you say, you're crazy, but you're still smiling. You're crazy. Do you think they're going to take you seriously? No, they won't. Why are gestures important? Gestures are important because you can convey your feelings and attitudes more clearly than what you say. It functions as visual aids. So, using hand gestures while you speak not only helps people remember what you say, it also helps you speak more quickly and effectively. If you've noticed while you are discussing in front of your classmates, if you have an oral presentation, it helps you think quickly, it helps you speak effectively. Another thing is that it indicates the response that you are looking for from your listeners. If your audience are shaking their head like this, then most probably they disagree, deny, or reject what you are saying. But if they are nodding their head, it means that they agree, they accept, or acknowledge what you just said. The best thing about gesture is it helps you in dissipating your nervous tension because it is an outlet of your tension. So if you feel nervous, you just use hand gestures. But be careful not to overuse hand gestures. I, as a speaker, I've done a lot of speaking blunders and I know all of those things. Now I'm already working on how to eliminate them. What I want my students to do is to be aware as well of those blunders. Now, you just have to not exaggerate the use of hand gestures because it looks hyperbolic, exaggerated, really. And then make your body speak effectively. Number one, eliminate distracting mannerisms. You can use your posture, your gestures, your facial expressions in making your body speak effectively. Mannerisms are physical manifestations of your nervousness. If you might not be aware that you're doing them, then you have to look into your recording. You have to look at yourself while presenting a speech. Now, here are examples of some distracting mannerisms like biting or licking the lips. So, what else do you think are distracting mannerisms that you often see from a speaker? So every time that your name will be called, every time that you will recite, I'll be writing your name down. If you are going to touch your nose, make sure that it won't stay long. So you just touch your nose like that, but you don't do this or you don't do this. What's your name? The last student who responded. Peter, are you mad? You sound like you're mad. Peter. Okay. Next is Anjanette. What else? Jonathan. Extra movements. That's right. What else? Okay, so we are going to discuss all of them. To you personally, what do you think is your distracting mannerism? By this time, you would know if you are aware of your own gestures. Is that you, Ray Peter? What is your distracting mannerism? Touching your nose and back. Why do you touch your back? Back or neck? Why? Why do you touch your back? I'm curious. Okay. I see. Mm-hmm. What else? Thank you very much. How about you, Patrick John? Any distracting mannerisms that you have? So, those are the things that you have to be aware of. For biting or licking the lips, if you are already in front of the audience, make sure that you are holding a bottle of water near you so that you don't have to do this one. Because if your lips have gone dry, it would crack. And if it cracks, there is a tendency for you to bite or lick your lips. And it's distracting. Next, gripping the lectern. This usually happens if you are nervous. Touching your watch or piece of jewelry. It can be your necklace, bracelet, or earrings. By the way, I just like to segue this one. Jewelry. It's not pronounced as jewelry because I often hear people say, ang ganda naman ni Jewel. I just want to take this opportunity to correct that pronunciation. If I can have it corrected within this virtual meeting, then I will. Next is twisting the ring. Clenching your fist as if you are ready to punch someone. You have to keep your palms open because it promotes trust. Then for the girls, they unconsciously and continuously flip their hair. Now the problem is if I keep on doing that to my hair, it's a no. Then for the boys, they keep on stroking their hair upwards for some reason. And then keeping the hands in the pockets. It reduces your gestures and it can indicate low confidence level and shyness. Aside from that, it can make you look casual. So your hands should be open in the audience's field of vision. If you are a speaker, because I know some of you here, so you can use this if you are presenting your proposal defense, if you already have your thesis, going forward when you are already in fourth year college. Next is adjusting the clothing, pushing up the sleeves, loosening the necktie, pulling up your pants. This one happens when the clothes are either too tight or too loose. Pacing back and forth. This is walking forward, then backward again. Too much back and forth will make you appear uncomfortable and insecure if you keep on going back, walking forward. Now, there is a trick that you can do in order for you to prevent this one. You have to plant your feet on the ground and squeeze your toes if you don't want to be pacing back and forth. Squeeze your toes on the ground, and for sure, you'll not be able to pace back and forth again. Placing the hands at the back. So when you put your hands at the back, your audience will not see your hand gestures. Aside from that, your audience will spend time trying to figure out where your hands are instead of on what you are saying. Rolling the eyes like an oscillating fan. Instead of rolling your eyes and show disappointment or being annoyed, you have to make an eye contact with your audience. This one is frowning. I frowning sometimes if I feel annoyed about the topic. But now I do my best not to move a lot and not to make a lot of facial expressions that I'm not supposed to be doing. Because, excuse me, I record myself and I see myself. Next is touching the face, like scratching your forehead, touching your lips, your nose, your eyes, especially when they are itchy. Now, if you can't really avoid them, do not highlight it. Do not touch your face, the entirety of your head for a long period of time. Next is fidgeting with a pen. Here are the things that you can do in order to eliminate unnecessary mannerisms. First is you have to be aware. It's either you record yourself or you deliver your speech while in front of the mirror. But between the two, I find it more effective if you record yourself using your phone. So you have to maximize your devices. Because if you're just going to look yourself in the mirror, then you cannot play it back, unlike when you record it on your phone. The next is use evaluations to find your strengths and weaknesses. If you are aware of your shortcomings, if you are aware of your weaknesses, it would be easier for you to eliminate all of them. So, ideally, record the rehearsal and review your performance. As you review your performance, the more you will improve. And then take one step at a time. According to Publilius Cyrus, he mentioned that to do two things at once is to do neither. So it's hard to accomplish or achieve results if you have two skills that you want to improve at the same time. So take one step at a time. As each is eliminated, move on to the next. For example, you smack your lips while talking. I am guilty of this one while I watched my recording. If you know what smacking of the lips is, it makes a sound like, and I acquired that when I was in the call center. But good thing I was not able to acquire because sometimes if there is a dead air and if they're looking for their files, they usually do this sound. I don't know why they do that sound because probably they don't want dead air. That I understand. But we Filipinos, we never do that sound. Okay, I'm looking for my file right now. Because but we Filipinos, we don't do that. We only say where can I find that? Mm, it's quite a long crutch or fillers. Once you were able to eliminate one of your problem areas, you give yourself an incentive. Why? Because that will somehow motivate you in working on your next problem area. Third is you ask a friend. Ask the help of a friend or anyone whom you think you can help you with. This can be your family members, your mother, your father, your brother, your sister. They can tell you truthfully. But you have to be open minded. You have to lower your pride when you want them to be giving you feedback. Because if you are not open to their feedback, then they will just lie to you. They will not be open and truthful. They can remember they can teach us how to get rid of the distracting mannerisms. Because very few speakers only let themselves be evaluated. That happens if you are a teacher, let's say you are a professional, and someone will tell you feedback about the way you deliver your speech, the way you speak. And you won't accept that. It's hard for you because you are a professional and the other person is not. You have to lower your pride. And aside from that, if you think that the feedback is somehow distractive, it's not constructive but distractive feedback, do not listen to it. Only listen to those feedback that are constructive because if you listen to distractive feedback, then that can damage your spirit. You choose those things that you're going to listen to. Next is be grateful for the suggestions that they have given you. Sometimes people only want to insult you. They don't want to help you. And you know what's insulting and you know what's not. Now be grateful for the suggestions because you know it's an insult if they're only telling you that you look bad without even telling you how to improve yourself. Next is be grateful. You have to thank them for suggesting how to improve yourself and consider it as a way for you to learn and improve your gestures. Then let your body mirror your feeling. Believe in what you are saying. If you say something, you say it like you mean it. Use gestures for verbs or action words. If you are already delivering your speech and let's say you are emotional, let's say you're crying in the story, you use a gesture that it seems like you're crying, you're hurting. And also, you let your hands be seen by your audience. Aside from that, it's important that they can see your facial expressions. Aside from facial expressions, it's important that your voice should sound like you are happy, you're hurting, or you're sad. One powerful tool in public speaking is your speaking voice. Powerful people speak moderately and audibly and confidently. So you have to speak moderately. When you say moderate, it's in the middle. It's not very fast, it's not very slow. You have to be confident, not too fast, not too slow, not too loud, and not too low. I like this one. And then do voice exercises. So you need to do vocal warm up because it helps you in giving effective verbal communication. And when you have that, it depends not only on what you say, but on how you say it. I remember when I was about to eat at Kenny Rogers, the crew told me, your order will be there in 5 minutes. Your order will be there in 5 minutes. So I was given the impression that he is asking me a question because there is a rising intonation at the end of the statement. At last, I just realized that he is telling me, he's just trying to inform me that my order will be there in 5 minutes. Now, if you are the crew, how are you going to say your order will be there in 5 minutes? So, who wants to say it? Rima, if you are the crew, how are you supposed to say it to me? So, your order will be there in 5 minutes? That's right. Ma'am, your order will be there in 5 minutes. As plain as that. So I realized that it's very important for people to do voice exercises. Your voice, your pitch, your tone can be made stronger with practice. And the more you practice, the more you can project the kind of tone, pitch, and the volume that you want to achieve. Do you want to be a speaker who speaks with authority? How can you speak with authority? So think of someone who speaks with authority. Is there any professor that you know that really speaks with authority? If you have, how do they say the things that make people obey them? How do they make people obey what they say? It has something to do with the voice control. I'm not saying that I am authoritative, but it has something to do with the way you speak. If you want to project as if you are an authoritative person, you have to sound like you're an authoritative person. For example, before the pandemic, of course, we have a face-to-face setting in the classroom. While I was doing the lecture, there are students who are tinkering on their phone. They're using their phone like this, and it seems like they're ignoring me. And then when I ask them, you keep your phone. In a stern voice, I did not shout, I did not yell at them, I did not get angry. But at that instant, they immediately kept their phones. It's because I controlled my voice. It sounded like I have the authority, which I am. I am in authority during that time. So they have to obey my order, which is to keep their phone. So you have to strike a balance between high and low pitch. You can stay in the middle if you want to speak with authority. Also, you should have a control of your voice. You should learn when to raise your pitch or lower your pitch, adjust your tone to formal or informal, happy or sad, conservative or liberated. If you want to sound happy, then you have to sound like you're a happy person. If you are in an informal setting, then sound like you are in an informal setting and vice versa. So when you undergo physical activity, you also have to do warm ups because just like singers, they do warm ups in order to prevent damage to their vocal cords. The same is true with our voice. So teachers, sometimes they hurt their vocal cords because they speak several hours a day, especially if the sections are continuous, like 3 sections or 4 sections in a day. That's quite hard. And then this will improve the quality of the sound that you will make, and it helps the tone flow more naturally. It also helps prevent the vocal injury when using your voice extensively. Record and listen to your voice. This is given. Eat and drink well. Now, what could be the reason why you have to eat and drink well? What does it have to do with speaking? What do you think is the reason? Why do you need to eat and drink well? Anyone? Someone is raising his hand. Is that you, Anjanette? Because I could hardly see the entire name on my screen. That's right. So you got the correct answer. That is for eating. It gives you, starts with letter E. Someone is raising a hand. Alan Mark, what's your answer? It gives you energy. So it's important for you to eat because even sometimes, if you feel full, there are still moments when you will have mental lapses. You forgot what you are going to say. Sometimes there's no more substance. There. Going back, it's important for you to drink water, stay hydrated, because if your lips will dry up and also if your vocal cords will get dry, then you will end up having a hoarse voice. A hoarse voice is in Filipino namamalat. You have to drink room temperature. Do not drink cold water. After your voice, your eyes is your most powerful tool for communicating. It's important during communications. Why? Why do you think you need to use eye contact? Ray. So you look sincere. What else? That is Ray Peter. Okay, who is raising his hand? Lori May. Yeah, so they can focus on their conversation. Aside from that, it helps you in building your audience. It starts with letter T. It helps you build letter T. It helps you build trust. And letter R. Very good. So you have to use your eye contact because it indicates openness in communication. Like this one, if you're in a face to face setting with your professors, if she is asking you a question, she's going to ask a question, and then most of the students are taking away their eye contact because they don't want to get called by the professor. That's what they do in order to avoid being called. They avoid eye contact. Next is for this one, always remember that you have to prepare. You build confidence through preparation because proper preparation and practice prevents poor performance. I should say prevent poor performance. If you did not prepare, you did not practice, be prepared to deliver bad performance. The reason why the speakers feel nervous is because they lack practice. They are not confident that they can do it correctly. So there's no better way to calm your nerves and ensure a good presentation than to rehearse aloud with an audience if possible. So when you're prepared, your behavior can be directed towards your audience instead of focusing on your own anxiety. So you'll be less likely to send visual messages that contradict what you are saying, and you will find it easier to be natural and spontaneous because you are confident, you know what you're saying. That's why later on, I will tell you that you have to choose a topic that you are knowledgeable about. Now, if you are unfamiliar with the topic, you have to research it. Next is be natural. If you have a favorite speaker or a speaker that you look up to, do you have, by the way? Jire, do you have a speaker that you look up to? Jire, can you please unmute? Jire is AFK. Oh, if you don't have a microphone, you can type it in the chat box. Who is your favorite speaker? so that I can add your name here in the list. Jose Benedict. Jose Benedict, please unmute. AFK. Rafael. Rafael, unmute your microphone. Have I called you Jerome? Not yet. Jerome, please unmute. Do you have a speaker that you look up to or any favorite speaker? Okay. So thank you for your answer, Jerome. Let me just type down your name here. Now, if you have a favorite speaker, it's important thing to remember that you should not imitate them. If you have to imitate them, just imitate their strategies on how to become an effective speaker, but never channel them the way they speak, because the emphasis is on communication and the sharing of ideas, not on performance or ceremonizing. Kasi you have to be authentic, you have to be original, you have to be you. So the last one is be confident. Here are the things to remember. Number one, realize that you don't look as nervous as you feel. Always remember that presenters are quite surprised when they watch their videos and they would say, I don't look nearly as nervous as I felt. Your audience does not see how you feel inside, so they only see how you look and act on the outside. The trick is to avoid showing it. Therefore, when you learn how to look and act calm, confident, and composed on the outside, that's what the audience will perceive. If that's what they perceive, that's what they will believe, regardless on whatever you feel deep inside. If you're not confident, if you're nervous, it will not show. You just have to fake it. Or might as well do some power pose. If you do power poses, then everything will follow, even your brain. Next is memorize your opening. So your opening is the most powerful thing to start a presentation because it carries a rush of adrenaline. So you learn your first few sentences so well that you don't have to think about it. That will empower you into making a strong start, powerful beginning, and make confidence the first impression despite your nervousness. The third one is positive self-talk. So you replace negative thinking with affirmations, which comes from the Latin word affirmare, or which means to strengthen and to make steady. You tell yourself, I am a dynamic speaker. I am an enthusiastic speaker. I am engaging. I am a prepared and confident speaker. Whether you think you can or you cannot, you are right. Instead of saying bad things about yourself that I cannot make this, I might get myself embarrassed, hoo hoo. Instead of doing that, just do a positive self talk because that would be very helpful. Next is number four, claim the three audience truths. The first audience truth is they believe that you are an expert, so don't tell them otherwise. If you're not an expert of the subject matter, do not announce it anymore. Do not self sabotage. The second one is they want you to succeed as well. So they are on your side. Never ever think that they are your enemies. Don't think that they are there to embarrass you, to argue with you. Just think that they are there to listen to you. They are waiting for your speech. Then the third truth is they won't know when you make a mistake, so don't announce it anymore. You made a slip, let's say a grammar lapse, and then, oh, I'm so sorry, I made an ungrammatical sentence. Please forgive me. Do not do that in front of your audience. You're just gonna ruin a very good presentation. That is for the three audience truths. Then smile and reflect. So when you smile, it emits a happy chemical in the brain, which calms your nerves and promotes the sense of well being. Now, if you show that your audience, you're happy to see them and then you're enthusiastic, then they will be happy as well. If you smile at them, they will smile back at you. And then reflect. all the things, like the things that you need to improve, the things that you are powerful of. So we have to also be aware of the pauses. We have here sense pause, transition pause, all of these things. Thank you. Can someone read it, please? Maria? Maria, can you please read it again?
The speaker's voice. Your voice is your prime instrument and can be a rewarding asset to you as a public speaker. Use it well. Don't just speak word, but vary your pitch, your volume, your pace.
So people are judged according to their voice, whether we like it or not. Our voice reveals something about us. Like, do we sound educated or uneducated? Reluctant or confident? Do we sound as if we should be the leader or the follower? Like, do we sound as though we should be heard or answered? And some people, we are what we speak. And you would definitely know if a person is educated, if a person is not, if a person is, you know the difference. I don't want to make different comparisons, but we definitely know. And then that brings us to the crucial question: how do we sound? For you personally, do you know how you sound? Everybody should strive to sound right. But there are certain realities that we should accept about developing a voice. Do we sound like we are in the church? Do we sound like we are in the market? Do we sound like we are in an informal place? So we have to be aware of our loudness, the pitch, the speech rate or speed, and the quality. So I'm not going to expound on this one since I've already discussed this, but let me give you a run through of these things. Loudness is the volume of your voice. You just have to be sensitive to your audience's nonverbal reactions. If they're stretching their neck, they're trying to reach out to what you are saying, it means that your voice is quite low. Now, if they knit their brows or if they cover their ears, it means that you speak really loud, that it's deafening to them. Number two, the pitch. Most often, students is asked to increase the volume, but what they do is they raise their pitch instead of the volume. Now, it refers to the tone level of your voice. It usually happens for the girls when they are having intense emotions or if they are excited. Well, for the boys, they have low pitch because most often they are quite serious and solemn. But even for the girls, they can also have low pitch if it depends. It's contingent to the place or the setting where they are. If you are in the church, if you are in the party, then your pitch would vary. Then the speech rate or the speed of your voice or the words that you are going to say, the number of words spoken during a certain period of time, and the quality. Do you have a quality voice? Is it nasal? Is it rough? Is it pleasant? Is it weak? Sometimes if we speak slowly and if we speak in a very low volume, people might think that we are sick. That's why you have to modulate your voice. For this one, effective public speaking, can someone please read it for me? Let me call on John Kenneth. I'm sorry, can you say that again? Is it okay, John Kenneth, if you read? Nag-break ka. Oh, you're driving. Why did you say so? Let me call on another student. Jericho? Alan Mark, I've already called you. Glory May, I've already called you. Jerome Mendoza, yeah. Keith Lawrence. Someone is raising his hand. Glory May again. So, Glory May, I'll call you later. Keith Lawrence. So, conversational quality means that good speech delivery should sound like a conversation with an audience. If you are if you're sounding like you're just talking to them, but how can you do that? You have to engage your audience. You have to ask them questions. I've attended a seminar before wherein it's all lecture and the audience are finding it difficult to have an engagement with the speaker. It's because It's all lecture. There's no asking of questions. There's no storytelling time like that. Because if you are an effective speaker, you have to have self confidence, enthusiasm, and spontaneity. Sometimes, by having enthusiasm, your audience also would develop it as you go along. It's kind of contagious. Enthusiasm is can be passed on to your audience. It's also when you smile, it's contagious. So we have here principles of speech delivery. I'm not going to expound on this one, but we are going to do a run through of it. Number one is perception. Stop trying to be a great public speaker because no one is great, no one is perfect. And if you want to be a great public speaker, the best way in order for you to be one is to connect with your audience. Understand that people want to listen to someone who is interesting, relaxed, and comfortable. If you are, let's say, confident, you are relaxed, you sometimes take it for granted that everything changes when you are already on top of the stage. So try to be confident as much as possible, entertaining and relaxed and comfortable with your audience. And then speak in your official capacity. For this one, you are not yet senators, you are not yet congressmen, you are not yet the president of the Philippines. So you have to speak in your official capacity as a student. You are a student, be yourself, and be confident. Number two is perfection. When you make a mistake, no one cares about you. So the point is, when you make a mistake, the audience rarely even notices. And when you say sorry, you are even highlighting it. The most important thing a speaker can do after making a mistake is to keep on going. Do not beg the indulgence of your audience. Never apologize for the lack of experience, and it should never be mentioned at all. Number three is visualization. If you can see it, you can speak it. The best way to fight anxiety and become a more comfortable speaker is to practice in one place where no one else can see you. Now, if you have this vision in your mind, how do I want myself to be projected to my audience? Do you want to look formal? Do you want to look professional? Then you visualize. How can you look professional? Does it have something to do with the outfit that you're going to wear or with the speech that you are going to deliver? Visualize it. Next is discipline practice makes perfect good. So your goal is not to be a perfect speaker, but to be an effective public speaker. I know some of you might react on this one and say, we are BSIT students. We are not going to be public speakers. Of course, no, no, no. You are mistaken if you have that kind of thinking. Even BSIT students in the future, when you become professionals, you will have a lot of opportunity to speak in front of many people. If you become a boss or if you are one of the subordinates and you decided to present your proposal to your boss, then this is one great opportunity for you to show your speaking abilities, your skills. So your goal is to be effective. And like anything else in life, it takes practice. Do not take your communication for granted. Always practice and learning communication, being a good speaker, an effective speaker, it doesn't happen overnight. It requires time and dedication. Even professionals, they underwent a lot of blunders too, including myself. So number five, description makes it personal regarding of the topic. You have to personalize your communication. How are you going to personalize it? You have to add stories because people love stories about triumphs, tragedies, and everyday humorous anecdotes that make up people's lives. So you have to capitalize on that. People love stories. And aside from that, they are going to follow the sequence of your story. Quite interesting. It will make your speech interesting. And when I joined Toastmasters, let me just share with you, when I wrote my speech, I did not include a story because I'm not yet aware that I have to include it. But because of the evaluation, They told me that you have to include a story in your speech to make it more interesting. And then after that, every time that I would deliver a speech in front of the Toastmasters, they would always hear a story from me. Number six is inspiration. Focus on your audience. This one is quite being a charismatic speaker. You know, charismatic. When I say that, it's not the denomination of religion. I'm not referring to charismatic group. I'm referring to a charismatic speaker. When we say charismatic, it came from the word charm. But I will be very honest with all of you. I am not pro, but here's what I observed whenever he speaks. He focuses on other people and he veers away from talking about himself. And I think that's one of the reason why he has a lot of followers, despite the fact that I would say this, the Supreme Court has already given him a lot of things that would prove of what he did, but still people like him because of focusing on the audience. And also I read something that most of the Filipinos like to side with the underdog, and he makes himself look like the underdog. That's why it's important that when listening to a speech, you should learn whether they're giving you the ethos card, the pathos card, or the logos card. I taught you this one, the ethos, the pathos, and the logos. Because if they are pulling out the pathos card on you, which means that they are trying to pull your heartstrings, it's still important for your intellect to be higher than your emotion. Because regardless if you are touched by the story, if it's not true, and if you know that the person is not credible, you still have to use your intellect, the logos, be logical still. And the next is anticipation. When it comes to public speaking, less is usually more. Rarely should you leave a gathering and hear someone say, I wish that speaker has spoken a lot longer. How are you going to give anticipation to your audience? You have to share a story, so that's given. But do not elongate the story. Shorten the story. Just highlight on the essential ones, on the interesting ones. Because if you are going to include the boring part of the story, then they will lose interest. And aside from that, in the story, they are waiting for what's going to happen next. So there is an anticipation. Now, if you left them hanging, and it's like they are wanting more of your speech, they are going to listen more from you. It's better to leave your listeners wishing that you had spoken than having your audience squirming in their seats, waiting for your speech to finally end. So for this one, I am doing this lecture in order for you to learn, and I hope that all of you are listening. So number eight, dress appropriately. Dress for the occasion. Always remember, do not get underdressed. Do not be overdressed. So be well groomed and you dress up according to the occasion. If it's a formal setting, then you have to wear a formal outfit. If it's informal, wear casual. And then also, people will look at you. If you are in on a face-to-face setting, people will look at you from head to toe. So you have to brush your hair, you brush your shoes. Groom yourself. You don't show your audience long and dirty nails because that can lessen the credibility of the speaker. Make them see you as a clean person. It helps build trust and confidence in your audience. And number nine, do not hesitate to speak because someone else would do it better. If you are a person who is always negative, why are you asking me to deliver a speech? For example, why don't you just ask Ryan? Why don't you just ask Raphael to do the speech? Because they are better than I am when it comes to that. So always remember not to hesitate because you will become better if you do it. But if you're not going to practice, if you're not going to do the speech, you'll just stay where you are. At least if you think that you cannot do it, you practice and then you'll be better. You'll have an experience. Last but not the least is know what you know. For this one, you choose the topic that you are knowledgeable of. Aside from that, if you are not knowledgeable, you research it. Then you should be confident enough to share the fruit of your honest labor. Always make sure that you have a specific purpose if you are going to deliver a speech. Whether you want to deliver an informative, entertaining, or persuasive speech. And then from there, you choose a topic that's relevant to the purpose of your speech. So we have here, I'm already done, it's 7:47. We are going to do the table topics because I haven't done this yet. I have here an example, the PREM. In table topics, you will have a structure. When we say PREM, you are going to do the point, reason, example, message. So for the point, let's say beauty, the quotation given is beauty is in the eye of the beholder. In table topics, you will be asked to explain this using the PREM structure or pattern. Now I would like someone to read the point. Ryan.
Beauty is indeed in the eye of the beholder, as we people have different perspective. What could be pleasing to one's eye may
Very
be the
good.
opposite to another.
So that's Ryan. Now, I want you to read the reason, Tristan Mark, because I haven't called you yet.
Yes, ma'am. There are several factors that affect and influence one's perspective. It could be the surrounding, our morals,
Very
values,
good.
and the
Thank
society.
you. Let me call on who haven't spoken yet. Someone is raising his hand. Jericho. You're next, Glory May. Jericho, please read example.